Alright, what's up everyone? In this video, we're going to be going over my level 50 UVHM 5 Harlowe build. If you haven't seen my other builds on the other Vault Hunters, definitely be sure to check the channel out. And if you would also like to see a review of the game, I have one out as well if you're still trying to figure out if you want to buy the game or not. So Harlowe is basically the quote-unquote new siren, even though she isn't a siren. She plays very similar to previous ones that we've seen, obviously with things like Maya and Amara being able to just lock enemies in the air. You have that with this character, but honestly, just on a whole other level. If you already thought it may have been broken in the previous games, this game, it's just insane. You even have stuff from Lilith in Borderlands 1 with her daze mechanic. You can basically just crowd control an entire room with this character. They did kind of balance in a way so when somebody's in the air, they kind of just float around instead of just being like just locked and it's easy to hit a crit. So you kind of have to play around that. But even with that, like basically nothing's going to shoot you with this setup. It's a ton of fun. So the gameplay you're seeing is the build I'm going to be showing all today. This is my first level 50 UVHM 5 Harlowe build. This is what got me all the way to Ultimate Vault Hunter 5, and it is very, very solid. There are some crazy things going on with the build, like to the point where I think they might be bugged or slash broken, which we'll talk about. And if you liked playing Sirens before and you don't know who you want to play, I would definitely recommend Harlowe because she is a ton of fun and also very, very strong. But all right, let's jump right into the skill tree. And the first thing we need to talk about is we need to understand what entanglement is. So whenever you use an axe skill on an enemy, it's basically going to make that enemy entangled. The entanglement enemies will actually share damage, so it's only 7% of damage dealt, so it's not like a crazy amount, but basically you can just entangle a bunch of enemies and you could just share damage on them. The damage part is not really the main aspect. It is going to come from other skills to where you can actually just entangle multiple enemies and get multiple benefits. But just know that yes, entangle is a very, very massive part of the build, and you'll know an enemy's entangle when they look like a rainbow. Now, instead of diving straight into the skill tree, I do want to go over the class mod first because this is pretty important because this does play into entangle. So it says whenever Harlowe shocks an enemy, she automatically entangles and irradiates them, and whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, electric arcs will shoot out of them to other nearby enemies. So basically now, instead of just having to have your axe skill entangle enemies, you can have your class mod if you are applying shock entangle enemies, which is nice. And then also whenever you do entangle enemy, it basically shoots out, electric arcs that can also shock enemies to make more entangle. So this is just the entangle class mod. You can just entangle everything. And again, share that damage, play until those skills is going to be very, very good. Now, talking about those skills, let's actually go on and jump into the skill tree. So first off, with the axe skill, we are going to be taking 0 point. This is basically phase grasp. I don't feel like I really need to explain it too much. You can click it again. They are going to kind of like rotate around. They're not just locked in the air. But with this specific setup, we are going to be taking the inertia augment. So whenever we actually kill an enemy in the stasis bubble, it is going to go to another enemy. You can basically just keep chaining these. This was also something like we had on Maya and Amara as well. But then the cap still makes it so you can actually use 2 stasis abilities now instead of 1, but it actually does decrease your axe skill duration, but that's not going to be a problem. It doesn't matter. You'll have infinite amount of that. So you can basically just have 2 bubbles, and those 2 bubbles will then keep chaining with inertia, and you can literally crowd control everything in the game. It is disgusting. But now let's actually start talking about the skills. So the first one is going to be quantum immortality. So whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, she gains health generation. So this is already playing into the entanglement aspect, not just for the damage part. Now we get health generation, which is nice. This just kind of helps out survivability. No, honestly, I don't really think you even need this because nothing really shoots you in the first place. So if you want to take something else like pulse drive for cooldown rate, you can totally do so. But our next skill is actually going to be parallel circuit. So whenever we trigger our axe skill, we're going to gain increased gun damage. Obviously, we're trying to get them in a ball to be able to shoot them easier, so now we get more gun damage. That's obviously just pretty nice. Next up is just negative entropy. So we just have 1 in here. This gives increased gun handling. It's double when someone's in stasis. So, I mean, the gun handling is nice, but we have to put 1 point in here to get to precision engineering. So Harlowe gains increased critical hit damage. This is a 30% increase to your critical hit damage, which is very, very good. Harlowe is actually going to have a pretty good amount of critical hit damage based skills. So being able to get enemies in that bubble, if you can line that crit up, you can do a ton of damage very, very easily. Now, I do want to mention we do have 2 points for my class mod and periodic table flip, so we just get some more elemental damage. We're honestly not even going to be using elemental weapons with this build, so this is kind of whatever, but it also does have 1 point in ripple effect, and we also put additional point in it as well. So this is a kill skill, so it makes it whenever you kill an entangled enemy, it is actually going to entangle another enemy. As you see there, it is up to 3 nearby enemies. So typically this is only 1, and if we have 2 points in it, for some reason it goes to 3 instead of 2. It may be a visual bug, it may actually just be 2, but regardless, 2 or 3 or not, just being able to entangle an enemy with your action skill, entangle an enemy when applying shock, and we're also going to have other ways to apply tangle here in a second, and then killing that enemy, you're going to be able to spread this entanglement and again share all that damage and play into other skills as well. Ripple effect is very, very strong. It's one of the most important skills with this specific setup if you are trying to, you know, spread this entanglement around everywhere. Now our next skill is going to be force of will. So this makes it so whenever Harlowe critically hits an enemy, it will daze that enemy. This is what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Now you can basically just daze every single enemy you hit. It's not even like a chance. You just crit an enemy, they're dazed. This is going to make their speed just reduced by 50%. And this is like movement speed and attack speed. So like it's very, very good. So if you have somebody just running at you, they're not running at you anymore. If you have somebody shooting some crazy rocket at you at a high fire rate, they're not doing that anymore. And you literally just have to land 1 crit. And it doesn't have a cooldown. It has a duration of 7 seconds, but you can just apply this to everybody while also entangling everybody, while also putting everybody in the stasis bubble. It is very, very good. Now, the really cool part about this is that we can also take our next skill. We only need 1 point in it, and that is slingshot. So now whenever Harlowe dazes an enemy, she will also entangle that enemy and gain movement speed. So the movement speed bonus is, I guess, nice, but like we're not really using it for that. If you really want to invest 5 points to get more movement speed, you can go for it. But the main part is that you only need 1 point for is that now when you daze these enemies, you're also entangling them. So again, you want to entangle everything with this build. So everything we've already talked about, and now with this, it is ridiculously easy to have an entire battlefield entangled 24/7. On top of that, again, they are going to be dazed, and you will also have enemies in stasis bubbles. So you have enemies just floating around everywhere, enemies not moving, and enemies just entangled, and you really don't even have to do much at all. Now, there's one skill that I had at the bottom called stun lock. So whenever Harlowe critically hits an enemy, you actually will put them into a brief moment of stasis. This does have a cooldown of 10 seconds, and this stasis doesn't just like last in the air like your axe skill does. If you shoot it, it will end, and it also only has like a 5-second duration if you don't shoot it. But the fun part is that if you daze an enemy, you basically put them in this bubble, break it, they're going to start falling down, but that movement speed, they kind of just slowly fall. So it's like they're still in the air, obviously not in the bubble, but they're just slowly falling to the ground, and it basically, like, nothing can hurt you. Like, it is so good at just crowd control. Harlowe is by far one of the best crowd control vault hunters in the entire Borderlands franchise. You basically just have the daze skill of Lilith while also having the crowd control of Maya and Amara, on top of all the other extra benefits that Harlowe just gets as well. It is very, very good. Now, the final skill in the blue tree is just control group. So whenever we kill an entangled enemy, it will actually just restore a portion of our axe skill cooldown rate and axe skill duration. So again, your axe skill duration, you're not gonna have to worry about it because getting kills on all these entangled enemies is just going to keep restoring it. You also get the cooldown rate if it ever runs out, so you can spam it all the time. Now, get into the green tree. If we really want to talk about spamming our axe skill all the time, this is where this is going to come into play very, very well. Now, our first skill is going to be momentum. So whenever we entangle an enemy, we're going to get increased critical hit damage. This also actually does apply to your teammates as well. So that 25%, pairing that with that 30% here, you're going to be able to do a lot of critical hit damage. It is worth noting that we do have 1 point in action at a distance from our class mod, but we're not really using that. But next up is going to be mass function. So Harlowe and her allies gain reload speed for every entangled enemy. So we're going to be able to entangle everything. We're going to have crazy fast reload speeds, which is nice. And again, this also does apply to your teammates. So if you are playing in a group, this could be very, very good, not only for you, but for your teammates as well. Now, we have to talk about confirmative reality. So this skill is what I was talking about at the beginning that may actually be bugged because it is so good. So it reads, whenever Harlowe shoots an entangled enemy, she and all allies restore a portion of their action skill cooldown. It's 1.5% per shot. So obviously we're having everything entangled. We understand that by now, but now we can shoot these entangled enemies. If we kill them, we get cooldown rate with the other skill, but now just actually shooting them, we're also getting action skill cooldown. You get it literally in 2 seconds. Like you can take a 40-second axe skill cooldown and get it in 2 seconds if you're shooting enough. I'm not exactly sure what is happening behind the scenes here. It may actually just be bugged. It may be something like a shotgun that has multiple pellets and it procs multiple times. But even if you're not using a shotgun, like even just like an assault rifle, you still get it back so quick. Like, it is ridiculously good. I'm honestly hoping it's not bugged and it just stays like this. But you can basically use this like on a boss. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to put a boss in stasis, but that will still apply the entangle. And then you can just shoot the boss, and literally 2 seconds, you have the bubble again to keep reapplied and entangle. So you basically just have permanent entangle on a boss, and you don't ever have to worry about your axe skill cooldown, which obviously in return, pair it with all the augments and capstones we're taking, you can literally have everything stasis 24/7. It is so good. Confirmed reality is a must with this setup. You literally will have infinite action skills. Now for the final skills, we are going to be taking decoherence. So we're basically now going to be doing more damage to entangle enemies. The flux generator part doesn't matter because we're not running that, but this is a 25% damage increase to all these entangled enemies. Since you can entangle them all the time and you're already sharing the damage, you can mob like crazy with this character. And even, dude, that 25% increased damage is also just pretty solid on bosses. And again, like I was saying, pairing that with confirmed reality, you can just have them permanently entangled, so you're just constantly doing 25% more damage to them. It's very, very solid. And then I just have 2 points in feedback loop here. So whenever I entangle an enemy, I get more axe skill damage, skill duration, and axe skill cooldown rate. So basically, all the stuff with your axe skill, again, you could just spam it all the time. These 2 points, it's not like anything too crazy. If you want to put them in something else, maybe something like ricochets, you can. But the reason I don't put them in ricochet here is because with this setup, I mainly run Jacob's weapons. I know it's a shocker, that's pretty much all I ever run. But Jacob's weapons being able to critically hit and ricochet, which those ricochets can also proc everything. It can proc the daze. It obviously will share damage. So not only are you getting the share damage from the initial shot, the ricochets will hit, do more damage, share that damage. Ricochets can go crazy with this build. And that's why I really, really like Jacobs, because you don't really even need a shock weapon to take advantage of this class mod. You're going to be able to spread entangle everywhere already. So just taking something like a Jacobs is just so good. For the rest of the stuff in this build though, just like on Vex, like I really don't have anything that plays into anything super well. Like I haven't like intentionally farmed anything to get this. The only thing is I got this to drop and I got a decent Jacob shotgun, and I just got everything working. I don't have enhancements really, anything right now. It's pretty much just the skill tree that's going for me, and it is very, very good. The final thing we can talk about is going to be specializations, and I'm going to be real, I'm not really taking advantage of much at all with this. I do have things like in the zone, I guess, if I'm just aiming down sight for a while, and I have things based on my axe skill, so I get more cooldown rate, you know, if I'm taking a rep kit, which is nice. I'm a gun is really not that good because again, you're not really doing damage with your stasis bubble. But the reason I did this is because I was actually wanting to originally play into a like action skill based thing with, you know, the chroma accelerator or even the flux generator as well, because there's a class mod that can play into that. And I just ended up not doing that because the other build's so good. But I think that's a testament to like, I don't even have crazy specializations. I don't have crazy inventory, you know, crazy guns, crazy shields, crazy. I have really nothing that plays into it. It's just the skills alone that are so good, and it is just ridiculous. Again, nothing's going to shoot you. You don't really have to worry about life steal. You don't have to worry about health. I know I have the health points here, but again, you can kind of change them because you don't really need it if nothing's shooting you in the first place. But I think that is going to do it all for the Harlowe build. Just like the Vex video, I will be perfecting this here in the future, so be on the lookout for updates. This is just the beginning. Again, I kind of just wanted to post some stuff so people can see some, you know, level 50 UVHM 5 gameplay, kind of maybe get an idea of like what leveling build they might want to go for. And I could definitely recommend this one because it is what got me all the way to Ultimate Volunteer 5, and it is very, very fun. Anyway, so that's going to do it all for me. If you've bought Borderlands 4, I hope you all are having an absolute blast. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.